What's going on? What's going on? Welcome back to the channel, One Man's Walk. I am your host, Gamal, back at you with another one. And so what we have for you today is the new Meek Mill. What's the CD called? Expensive Pain. And so CD dropped last Friday. Gave me a chance to kind of digest it, sit with it, give my thoughts, see what's going on, how you guys feel about it. So this Meek Mill coming off of Championships, which I thought was an amazing project. Championships being the first project he put out after after going to jail, coming out of jail, after the beef he had with Drake for a little while, and the public opinion, public view of him was a little skewed, and the not responding to Drake or not responding in time, and all these other things that came about. And so I felt like Championships had a lot of weight on its shoulders, and I thought it delivered well for many various reasons. I actually thought it was it my favorite? It was either my favorite CD of the year Championships dropped, or it was second. It was between that and the J-Rock Redemption CD. Those were the two best CDs I had heard. And so I didn't know this Meek was dropping. I just happened to go on Apple Music. I check it every Friday, and I went on there and boom, there he was. And so my initial thoughts when I first played it the first time, I want to say I didn't like it. Like on the initial listen, and I think because my ears were coming off of Championships, where we got a more introspective Meek. Don't get me wrong, I'm still here for Hood Meek and Tough Talk Meek, Gangsta Meek, whatever you want to call that. The energy he brings, I'm still here for all of that. But I liked the transition it looked like he was heading towards with Championships. The songs that he was talking about, the strong material he was talking about, the problems that go on in jail, the infrastructure with the court systems and the police and different things of that nature, the kids who grew up in environments that don't really, they're not made for you to succeed. Now, obviously, people do succeed coming from projects and things like that, but it feels as though it's not made for you to succeed. And I liked the direction he was going. It did not take away from the fact that we still got some gutter on there, but it did not feel like old Meek had felt. The Dreams and Nightmares, the Triller, is that the name of the album? Whatever the other one is with the red album cover, where it was like flooded with Nicki Minaj. I think him and Nicki were in that dating phase during that time, and so there was a lot of Nicki Minaj. So that one, this project right here feels more like that. And so the Championships is feeling more like the admiration and not the transition. Now, it doesn't mean that we didn't still get projects that are like what we got on Championships. It just feels like the bulk of what we got feels like old Meek. It feels like Meek is back to being loved. People love Meek again. They should never have not loved Meek, but they back to loving Meek again. It feels like he's back on the winning team, and it feels like people want to hear from him again. It feels like people appreciating what he does again, and it feels like he just got back into that pocket he was most familiar with. Now, I want to say this. Now, when I'm listening to Too Short, I haven't played Too Short in a while, but whenever it was that I was playing Too Short, I'm not expecting more from Too Short than what Too Short is expected to give. And so I'm not looking for anything more than the type of source material that Too Short has given me for, what's the first Too Short CD I bought? Cocktails? So from Cocktails on, that's the first one I bought, obviously. He had many CDs and was going gold and platinum way before that, but that was the first one that I bought in '95. And so I haven't expected anything else from him. My expectation of Meek has changed drastically after hearing Championships and seeing what he's capable of in evolving his source material, and also the influence that he can have and the influence that he does actually have. And so I was a little disappointed when I played the CD initially, and I skipped a lot of it, and I was like, yeah, no, I don't like this, I don't like this. 6, 7, 8 listens later, it does sound better. I'm not here to be like, I love it. I definitely don't hate it. It's not as bad as it was when I initially heard it, but it's still not a CD I love, you know? And especially the reason why I'm doing this talking first is because to give you an idea, like coming out of that championship CD, which I thought, again, it was either the best or the second best CD, depending on that of the J-Rock, the day of the hour. Those were the two best CDs that had dropped that year. I just thought that they were amazing projects. Man, I really wanted a continuation of that. I didn't want Championships Part 2. I'm fine with, obviously, when the intro came on for this, and the intro is the Nas, it's this. And it makes sense that he would kind of rap to that. Like his voice, the Hate Me Now is very, it has a very aggressive tone to it. And if you remember the video, how Nas was in that video, and I think it was around the time of Belly too, so it kind of had that Belly walk through the nightclub scene that they had. And so, but the energy of that, it makes sense to get this Meek. So I'm like, okay, cool. And then Meek is also known for giving us dreams and nightmares and things of that nature. Although the intro in the championships, while I loved it, was a very calmer Meek, and you guys know how I feel. The intro sets the tone for what I should be expecting when I hear the CD. And so when I heard championships and how that sounded, it kind of threw me for a little bit. And I was like, ooh, what's this? I heard this. I want to say this too real fast about Meek. Meek is doing something I've been trying to campaign for people to do since like 2010 when the idea hit me. And that is take beats, songs, records, like Puff did the 80s, the 70s or whatever, right? Dre did the 70s, Puff did the 80s, JD, the 80s, things of that nature. Someone should be taking the 90s. The records that we loved, myself, my ilk, my group, I'm 39, that we grew up on. I grew up on 90s R&B. I grew up on 90s rap. I grew up on 90s dancehall. Like, that is what I grew up on. Those are the three, really rap and dancehall, and then we sprinkling in R&B. But that is what I grew up on. And then the 2000s, man, Nelly came out in 2000. We're in 2021. That was 21 years ago since Country Grammar. So imagine sampling Shook Ones and things like that. And I want to say that because Meek, Championships, and this CD has done a really good job of flipping samples. A really good job of flipping samples, songs that we knew, we loved, and he did that. And so I want to shout him out because I've been campaigning for people to do that, and I didn't understand why people are not just taking 90s records. They should be sampling No Limit. They should be sampling Bad Boy Death Row. They should be sampling So So Def, Rockefeller, all of it. It doesn't make sense not to. We don't have to keep getting from the 70s and 80s. Take from the 90s. Take from the early 2000s. I think that's what should be done. And so we got the Hate on Me, and that's cool. This next record, Outside. That one for me. See, this is what I wanted more of. This right here, On My Soul. When he gets into that pocket where you can let a little bit of emotion out, he has a couple records on here like that. It's not many. There's a couple. The next record is with Lil Baby and Lil Durk. Kind of expected. I feel like Lil Durk and him have had some records together. Lil Baby's literally on everybody's project who's coming out these days. So it's almost weird when you don't hear Lil Baby on a project, you know? Expensive Pain was cool. I like that too. I like when he gets into the, I don't want to say the pain of rap, but the understanding of, one, it's more to it than just the flash, the jewelry, even the gangster stuff, and kind of getting into some of the other stuff, because Meek has done some things or been through some things that others haven't. I know some on here he does talk about some stuff about with his dad passing early, which sucks to hear. Obviously having to go to jail. A lot of rappers talk about it, but I'm sure not a lot of rappers actually have been to jail. And so having that to be able to tap into some of those things when you are alone with your thoughts, when you're alone by yourself with your thoughts, being able to, did people really come see you? Did they really call you? Were they really looking for you? Did they check for you? Were they really, you know what I mean? Like all these different things that he had the opportunity to actually have to deal with. I feel like it's more than just good content, but it allows for growth because you're able to maybe step away from people you couldn't have stepped away from before, or be around people who you once were and you're like, yeah, you know what, it's probably not my best interest. They didn't really have my best interest at heart. And now that I'm not in a position to benefit them, and he has a song talking about that too, but now that I'm not in a position to benefit them, they're not really rocking with me. They're not checking for me and things of that nature. And so I like to hear more like that. This record right here, obviously this felt like the 24/7. This is the Kalani record. I dig Kalani. I like her. I think she makes good music. She has her lane. She has her lane. And I like her. I like her vibe. I like her style. I like her, I hate to use words like swag, but I feel the vibe of her, how she gets down, right? So this right here, it does feel like 24/7. So this is a mean flip because I think it's not till near the end. Where is it? Where you hear it and you're like, oh, that's the South Side. That's the Ashanti Lloyd. So I thought that was nice. And again, what did he do? He took from something that was already hot. That Lloyd and Ashanti record was fire in what, 2002, 2003, somewhere in that vein. That record was fire. And so to be able to do that, I said, okay, Meek. But it does sound like he was going for the same LMA 24/7 vibe that we got from Championships. And so similar to, we had 21 Savage on Championships. He's not on here, but I feel like the Little Dirt, Little Baby record kind of gives that same vibe that the 21 Savage record did, you know? So there was some, this record was surprisingly fire. Now, I don't really know much about the whole ASAP camp. I haven't really listened to ASAP Rocky. I haven't really listened to Ferg or anybody else that's in the camp. I did like this. And another record. This was what, 96? What is this? This is Lil Jon. This is Lil Jon. This is the first time I really knew a Lil Jon. Besides that record he had on the beach, which was wild, that didn't have the same vibe that he had. I forgot what that record is called, but he had a record where he was on the beach. It was like super party, whatever. It didn't have none of that crunk style. And then it felt like he went away for a little bit. So maybe that was like 94, 95 Lil Jon. And then he came back with this. And this was that B.I.B.I. with Too Short, who I talked about. That wasn't even on purpose, but the Too Short Luda, I think it's Luda on it. Too Short Luda, B.I.B.I. So him and Ferg did that. I actually really do like this one. She was confused like how you the goat in a lamb truck. I like that. That was a hot little flip. Ferg had a hot verse too. Let me see. Yeah, this is Ferg. He rode that beat. He rode that beat. I like that. He did ride. He rode the beat. So that was cool. I did like that one. This one with Moneybagg, yeah, I wasn't really a fan of. Yeah, see, some of these records right here, I'm like, I like when I could hear it already, and I said, okay. Oh, that's exactly what I was talking about earlier. Giving us some of the records of the insight with some of the pain. I've always been a big Joe Budden fan. One of the things I loved about Joe Budden, and when I say that, I always mean Joe Budden, the rapper. I don't really listen to the podcast, but rapper Joe. I'm going to say rapper Joe. But the ability to be vulnerable and share some of that, not for the gossip or anything, but it felt like therapy almost, like getting it off your chest. I'm very big on understanding. Sometimes you got to get it off your chest. Like you got to be able to talk about it. You got to be able to get it out. And I like when there's a good balance, because again, based upon what I heard from Championships, I wasn't expecting Championships Part 2, but I was expecting the next iteration of Championships, where I felt like a good portion of the CD was a drawback to MMG Dreams and Nightmares and whatever the red case CD was called. And it felt like it was more of that than it was a continuation or the continual growth that we saw on Championships. And I continue to harp on that because this didn't feel like that. And again, on first listen, I didn't like it, but I think the more I heard it, the more I'm like, okay, I'm now listening to it for what it is, not what I expected or thought it was going to be, or what I was hoping it was going to be. But now I kind of get it, which is why I said I played it 7-8 times now. Now I know what it is. Like, this is what it is. And since I know that this is what it is, I can listen to it for what it is and then judge it on that. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. And so I like that Love Train. Let me see. You know what? I am big on. I do like Young Thug. I don't know why. I think he's extremely talented. I'm not with the nail polish. I'm not with the dresses. I'm not with some of that stuff that he's into or that he does or whatever the reasoning for that is. But I do think Young Thug can rap. I do think when Young Thug gets on records, he kind of changes the trajectory of a record. I think his energy on records really brings something out in other artists, which is why I think so many artists still rock with him in despite all that other stuff, because he's extremely talented. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. On the other podcast, on the Clean Your House Music podcast, I said it there too. I think he's extremely talented. One of my favorite records from him, I think it's called Power. Really love how he rocked on that. And so this record with Young Thug called We Slide. Bring it up, son. So I know I'm skipping a couple records. Some of them, it just did not grab me. And I don't even want to waste the time going through it. This little Uzi Vert, I don't really know much about him. I hear him all the time. I know he has some type of diamond or something in his head. Not really sure about that. I know he was dating one of the city girls. My favorite one. Why do I not? JT is legit. I do like how Meek gets on beat sometimes, and the way he just, I feel like his flow just makes you wanna, I don't dance, so don't get that twisted, but him and Uzi on here, this back and forth they had going, I thought it was actually really fire. This one is good. This is one about Snoop, who passed back when, I guess, what were that? Dream Chasers 2, Dream Chasers 3? I think it's Dream Chasers 3. Seen his true colors, but I didn't have a check for him. Something about seeing his mother, he won't even check for her. But that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's when Meek is in that pocket and kind of giving us that. And I'm like, man. Because that's the other side of the fame. That's the other side of the money. That's the other side of the holding people down. Is not everyone is doing the same. Which sucks, but but I do like that one. Cold Hearted 3 was good. This one. This right here. This is my favorite record on CD. This record called Halo. This definitely was my favorite record on the CD. Let me bring this up. Yeah, I like this Halo record. So this is the second verse. So we about to get. And this will play. That's why I got off. Yeah.
I got it all and I be still feeling needier. Trying to shine for all the times they ain't believing us, so I kind of relate when I see you being fake. Shorty, take that makeup off, I want to see your face.
Yes.
Standing in the club, popping bottles, sipping ace.
I ain't gonna front. That's how I feel. All the time, I'm not really for the makeup. If you wear makeup, cool, do you. But please, no, it's not necessary. Let it enhance you, not make it rearrange you or whatever you want to call it. One of the things I love about my wife is that my wife pretty without the makeup. And I was digging how she looked in her face and everything when there was no makeup on. I mean, she wears it now, but I'd be like, little baby, you don't even need all that. Put your little hair in a scrunchie, throw some little leggings or something on, we good to go. But I'm fine when you want to dress it up too, but it can't always be dressed up. What's the real you look like? Why are you always masking? So I'm with that. Hair tied with no makeup on, I hope that that's when you're the prettiest. I hope that you don't take that wrong. I always said he was wearing a mask before Corona. So, I mean, that's a CD. We skipped around some records. We skipped through it. We played some, we didn't play some, but it was cool. It wasn't great. It wasn't awful. It was cool. I don't know how much playback. There might be a record or two, maybe, that might hit, a different playlist that maybe I'll throw into a workout mix or something like that. But as a whole, it's not a CD I'm probably going to play a lot of. It's not going to be a CD that gets tons of run back on it. I wanted more, expected more, had higher hopes for, especially in knowing what Meek is capable of, especially after that championship CD. But it does give that same Meek energy that we're used to hearing, him riding the beats the way he's used to riding the beats and things like that. So you might have a different opinion. Obviously, these are just my thoughts, my opinions on how I felt on what I heard. But obviously, you might have something else. So please leave in the comments, leave in wherever what you thought of it. What did you think of the CD? So you leave in the comments what you thought. How did you feel about the CD? Did you like it? Was it meeting your expectations? What's your favorite records? Maybe the ones I skipped are the ones you liked. Who knows? Maybe we agree. But as always, I hope everyone has a wonderful, blessed, productive, stress-free day, weekday, weekend, whatever it is. Till next time.